2012, LEGO released their Lord of the Rings line, which I think is absolutely fantastic. There are some great sets here, and it really immersed you into the world of Middle-earth. It's just truly a beautiful theme. Now, I recently rewatched all of the Lord of the Rings movies, but this time the extended cuts, just to get some prep for this video, and I just remembered how much I love those movies. They're truly fantastic, and that really gives me some good insight into how much better these sets are, how good they are at, you know, just conveying what happened on screen in those films. As always, I won't be covering any poly bags, any mini builds that were exclusives, anything like that. No magnets either, that would be a little weird. And I won't be covering the Tower of Orenthak, even though I think that's an amazing set and it would be #1 if I did. I just think it's too obvious of a pick, and I'd like to, you know, have a more competitive feel here. You know, just put all mass release sets, you know, they're all equal. So let's go right into the ranking.
Just in the darkest depths of Mordor.
This ranking was really hard to do. I know I've said that for a couple other rankings before, but for here, it's really apparent because all these sets are quality. I really like all these sets. There's not a set here to hate. But I did have to put one in last place, and that is set 79005, The Wizard Battle. This is a really great set. It was a small $10, $12 set when it came out, and it's pretty great for that price point. I really love the minifigures here. We have Gandalf, who is a great representation of his actual character in the movie. This is based off Fellowship of the Ring, of course, Gandalf the Grey, so that's why he looks like that, and I think it's really nice. I would have liked to have one with the hat, even though I know that's not technically accurate to the scene it's based off of, but in a lot of other sets, we got Gandalf with the hat, so I think it would have been cool just to have the hat and the hair here. I think that just would have been a nice detail, but they didn't do that. It's alright. The main things to admire about this Gandalf are the head print. I think that's really awesome. The beard piece, which I believe was made for this Gandalf fig, which is really cool. It really looks like Gandalf's beard, which is, you know, long and flowing and of course gray. I think it's an awesome piece to add here. I think they integrated it to the minifig really well. Also a big fan of the robe printing. I think it's really nice. I'm glad they got the color right here. LEGO does get the color wrong on a lot of things like this, but it feels 100% accurate to how it is in the movie. So Gandalf is a pretty good fig. Moving on, we have Saruman, who's an amazing figure. I love this Saruman so much. My favorite part of him has to be the beard piece. They have this dual molding here with the yellow on the outside and the gray in the inside. It just looks really cool. I think it really looks awesome. LEGO could have, of course, half-assed this and just put, you know, a white beard here, and it would have just looked okay. But the fact that they did this much detailing, I think is awesome. His robes are really cool. I really like that. His cape's another great detail. I think it just really adds on to that robe feel. I do wish it was on Gandalf, too, though I get Gandalf was just, you know, smacked, so it's kind of weird for him to, you know, have a robe on. It would be a little, you know, kind of, you know, weird for mobility. But to be honest, I just think it's a really good detail on Saruman. I also think his head print's really good. I like that it's kind of angry. You know, kind of Saruman's never, you know, smiling in Lord of the Rings. He's always just a pissed off guy. Of course, he is a villain, so it kind of makes sense. Anyways, I think this fig is absolutely fantastic. Moving on to the build of this set, which I guess is where I can give like a slight criticism. It is not that much, really. I get it's a $10 set, but there really isn't that much here. You know, they could have added a little more floor space if they upgraded the price a little bit, but that's like the most minuscule complaint I could have given it. It just looks super nice. The throne especially is a beautiful build. I love the way it's just like built on top, like all these cone pieces just built on top of each other, on top of each other. It looks awesome, and it's a great way to make a throne. It just looks amazing in my opinion, and it just is really nice. Of course, we got a lot of this expanded in the Tower of Orenthang, whatever you like to call it. I don't know how to pronounce it off the top of my head. I always just call it Saruman's Tower. So I guess you could discredit this set in that way, but I don't really see it as a discredit, as they did a really good job, you know, building on that. A really cool thing about this platform is it does have like stairs building up to it, which I don't know why. I don't think that's very accurate to the film, but it's like a really cool little battle thing for kids to play, you know. Oh, we're gonna go up the stairs and one of them's gonna hit them off. I mean, it just seems like a really cool thing in my opinion. I also like that it's I don't know, I like this ball. I forgot what it's called. God damn it, I just watched these films. But it's the ball in the middle where, you know, he puts his hand on it and it tells him a bunch of shit. I can't remember off the top of my head. I like that they added that in the set. They really didn't need to, but the fact that they did is really awesome. Of course, it's a lot better in the Tower of Orenthang, where it's like a $40 piece on Bricklink, which is ridiculous. I'm not paying 40 bucks for that. Fuck no. You got me fucked up if you think that. But I think it's just a really great build. Not to mention that it expands out. This, like, throne area, it expands out to have these two, like, torches, lights, whatever. I mean, they didn't need to add that. The set was already, what, $12? colors, so, I mean, it seems like we didn't even need that, but the fact that we got it, it's just an awesome detail, and they're also really great builds. I love the techniques they use here, just using these, I don't know, I always call them those little Chima orb pieces, whatever you like to call them, the fake kryptonite, you know, stacking on top of those, and then using the cones, you know, just kind of easing into that insert. I think it just looks awesome, and then they have the torch on the top, which you could say looks a little uneven, but I think it looks awesome, and honestly, this set's pretty awesome. Let's move on to the next set on the ranking.
In the darkest depths of Mordor.
Up next on the ranking is set 9470, Shalob Attack. Or Shalab Attack. I could never pronounce it right. I don't know. I guess I need to watch Return of the King again for the 90th time. This is one of the few sets of this theme that I actually had as a kid. It was this one and the set that's up next. You know, that's pretty bleak to think of. I'm doing a ranking of a theme that I only have 2 sets of. Well, to be fair, that's how I did Batman, so it's not, you know, it's not out of the ordinary. It's just a little weird. Anyways, I really love this set. Let's move on to one of my favorite parts of the set, and that is the minifigs. So for the minifigs, there are 3 or 2 in this set, depending on who you are. I'm gonna count them as 3. Starting out, we have the Frodo, who has an amazing face print. This kind of, I forgot what it was. Like, he was, you know, trapped in the spider's web, so he had all that, you know, he was all hypnotized, I guess. This hypnotized look, or whatever you want to call it, looks phenomenal. It is an awesome face print. One of the best that we've ever gotten in LEGO. I've seen a million people use it for a million different uses, and it works, like, everywhere. Because LEGO hasn't made a face print like this before. And the fact that they did it here, I think is just awesome. I also really want to compliment the torso pieces on really all of the Hobbits. I feel like they did a great job just making them have that baggy feel that the Hobbits have in the movies. It just looks really nice. Not to mention the new hair pieces that they made for these are spectacular. They've made like this wavy, you know, it looks just like Elijah Wood. It's really good. It's a really great hair piece, and they reused it a bunch, I know, but it looks so good. LEGO hasn't used it like anymore since the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit line, but they really should, because it's an awesome hair piece. I get it may only work for Hobbits, but it's awesome. Love the Frodo fig. Now let's move on to the Samwise, who's like 20 bucks on Bricklink for some reason. Like, guys, please, I just want to get this fig again. Ugh. Anyways, this is another fig where the face print is phenomenal. It's this really expressive, just scared face print. It looks really cool in my opinion. I like when LEGO does that, when they are more expressive instead of just being more bland. I think it's awesome. The fig also has the standout hair piece that the Frodo has, except this one's in a lighter, more red tone, so it looks, you know, more accurate to Samwise, and I think it's really good. I also like the torso, you know, just what I said in the last Frodo segment, you know, it's all, you know, baggy like a Hobbit, and it does that really well. And I just really like the fig in general. Moving on, we have the Gollum, who, you know, oh, that's not a minifig. It's not built with a torso, a leg, and yeah, shut the fuck up. It's pretty much a minifig. This is amazing. This part is spec-fucking-tacular. They could have done some bullshit. They could have made it an actual minifig. But no, LEGO went the extra step and said, fuck that. We're making an original mold. Fuck you people. This is quality. And this really just is quality. I love this thing. It looks really awesome. The fact that they made like the hairs printed on top, I think is awesome. Not to mention just the crooked back. Just that arch looks so much like Smeagol. It's fucking fantastic. I love this piece. It's one of my favorite pieces ever. Just a great figure. Moving on to the builds of the set, for which there are 2. One of them is this little rock estuary type. It's not an estuary, obviously, but it's this little rock build. I think it's pretty good. I think it has a decent, you know, play feature with the little cannon. That's about it. It's not really anything special. I do love their use of the jagged, you know, the slope pieces. I always thought that was awesome for rock detailing, and they do that a lot in this theme, but I think it's okay. Moving on, we have the Shalob, the Shaliba, the Shillelagh itself, Shalob. Or Shalab, I still can't fucking say it. Anyways, the way he's built is really cool, and it was really great for the time he was built. A lot of the spiders we got back in the day, at least brick built, were usually just like a mold, and then you get like some tentacle pieces for the bottom. But this one was brick built, and this is like a pre-Aragog, except it's a lot bigger than Aragog. And I thought it was really cool. One of the best features about it is the string that you could wrap around Frodo. You know, he's getting tied up, which, you know, happened before. But I think it's really awesome that they have that feature. It's just phenomenal. The legs are the one thing I can say that I think I don't like. They broke too easily because they were made of brown bricks. I just remember that as a kid. You know, it was just fucking horrendous. I remember I broke probably 2 of them, and I was probably so pissed off that I broke the set afterwards because I was a little shithead. But they were still cool, and they still had good functionality. What I love about the spider build is just overall how great it is. They use a lot. They have this printing detail at the front to show his face, which I think is really cool. You know, it shows its 8 eyes, and it has this cool mouth, and its back I think is really awesome. I don't know. Any any of you spider nerds want to comment, oh, that's actually the spider's bosom, or whatever the fuck you want to say. You know, that area, I think is really cool. Of course, that's probably where their web holds. I don't remember, to be honest. I haven't had this set in years, and I have tried to rebuild it. But it costs $50 to buy. And that Bilbo fig is $20 on Bricklink. Motherfucker. Anyways, this is just a great build. And overall, this is just a really good set. Let's move on to the next set on the ranking.
In the darkest depths of Mordor.
Up next on the ranking is set 9469, Gandalf Arrives. Now, this is one of the 2 sets that I had as a kid. Of course, I mentioned that in the last segment. And I always really loved this set. Of course, it's based off of probably the scene I've seen the most because, you know, sometimes you tune on the movie and just stop after a bit. Because it's one of the first scenes in The Lord of the Rings when Gandalf arrives in the Shire. And I think it's awesome. The carriage build's pretty fucking cool. And I like the minifigs in the set. So let's go right into it. There are 2 minifigs of the set. Starting out, we have the Shire Attire Frodo. At least that's what I'm going to call him. And it rhymes, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, I really like this Frodo fig a lot. The torso especially is a big upside. I thought it's super cool. And I know this fig is one of those exclusive figs that's like super rare to fucking buy. You know, just like the Samwise in the last set. It's like $20 on the aftermarket. It's insane. By the way, I do want to state the Frodo actually is an exclusive. He came in another little poly bag, I believe. So I am wrong about that. Sorry about that. Anyways, his face print is really cool. I like it a lot. I think it just gives a good vibe of Frodo, you know, in the early stages of his character through the trilogy. You know, later ones, he starts to get more character, you know, more aggressive in his faces or whatever. Here, it's just pretty tame. He has a smile and he has a little frown, you know? I thought it's pretty awesome, and I really like this figure. Moving on, we have the Gandalf, who I've talked about before, so I'm not going to bear on here. Oh, but he does have the hat, so 20 points for that. Moving on to the build of the set, we have Gandalf's carriage, which I think is just an awesome build. It is pretty average for most of it, obviously. You got the cool 2x6s for the side, which I think is an awesome detail, and it's really cool. My favorite part about this is all the stuff in the back of the carriage. It's super nice looking. I don't know, you got fireworks in there, you have that cool snake piece, you have a carrot for some reason, you have a book. I just remember getting this set as a kid and just being like so amazed, like, wow, I don't have like 95% of these pieces, and this is a great way to get them. And it really is. This set only came out at like $10-15, so I think they really had an economical way of spreading out the part count. I also really like the way that it's built around the edges, especially up front with the 3, I'm not sure what those are called, like the L bar is what I call them, those in the front, you know, surrounding it. I think it's a cool way of surrounding it. Of course, nowadays Lego would have just put those circular pieces, but back then they probably still had them, but they probably just didn't think to put them here, and I don't mind that much. And I think the attachment to the horse is pretty cool. I don't remember any stability issues with this set, which is pretty good, honestly, because that happens a lot with Lego sets, and I really just love this set. Let's move on to the next set on the ranking.
In the darkest depths of Mordor.
Up next on the ranking is set 9471, Uruk-hai Army. Overall, I really enjoyed this set with a pretty great build and a nice wide selection of minifigs. So let's get right into those. The first minifig to talk about is the Eomer, who, by the way, will break your bank. Like every other fig I fucking talk about here. It makes me so mad because I want all these fucking sets, and it's just crazy. You couldn't be able to buy all of them if you're, you know, on a decent fucking budget, to be honest. It's insane how expensive these things are. Anyways, I think this is a pretty good fig. I like the torso and leg detailing a lot. I love the armor padding, especially the torso with that almost red, near crimson color. I think that looks really nice. The helmet mold is fantastic. I believe it has to be exclusive. It just looks awesome. I love just the pure pattern of the gold with that great mold, you know, down in the middle with the protection of the head and the great side armor chin pieces, whatever you like to call those. It just looks awesome in my opinion. I also like they use the gray metallic arms. I think those work well here for the armor piece, and the green cape is a good addition. Good fig. Up next is the Rohan Soldier, who I think is an awesome fig. There's some great detailing on this fig. I really like the face print. That's my favorite part of it. It has that cartoony face print, which I love from this line. It's really useful for a lot of things, even brick films, actually, especially brick films. So I love that part of it. I also think the torso print looks really cool. You know, it's a nice night print. I feel like we've gotten a lot of those in Lego, but when it comes on a new fig, you know, it always looks nice, especially for a fig like this. The helmet's another great mold, obviously, like we talked about before. Just awesome. And it's a good fig. Now, there are 3 other figs in this set, and they're all a part of the Uruk-hai Army themselves. The only difference between them is some armor pieces, and that's really it. There's a main Uruk-hai, who, by the way, the the head print and the color scheme on these guys is really awesome with the maroon. I think it just looks really nice, and I think it fades well with the dark brown in all of them. Just looks super cool. And I think the armor pieces they give to some of these guys is awesome, including that helmet, which is a fantastic mold. It really looks good, and it looks like the Uruk-hai from Two Towers. It just looks great. I also really like the chest piece they give. Very basic, but it makes sense. Overall, I like these Uruk-hai figs a lot. So there are two builds in this set, and for the first one I'm going to talk about, it'll be the cannon, which I think is okay. This is definitely where the set falters a little bit to me, just because I don't really like cannon builds that much. Catapult, whatever you'd like to call them. I usually like them being one-piece little side things, but in this set, it's one of the main builds, and that really doesn't, that kind of distracts me. I like the way the wheels are built. I'll be honest about that. I think that's really cool. I like that it's non-traditional. Usually, they're usually built, you know, with those car wheels or whatever, but the fact that they did something different here, I think is really cool. I also like the play feature where you can flick the missiles out. It's actually built really well and actually integrated into this really nicely. I like that a lot, and it's just an okay build. I like the detailing on the front with the blades, but otherwise than that, I think it's just all right. The other build is the little Rohan Fort Castle build itself, and I think it's really cool. I really like this build. Now, I am a sucker for these types of builds in these sets. You know, sometimes they don't even have to be great, but when they're in the sets, I think they usually make me want the set a little more. And this build's pretty cool. I love the exterior detailing, especially with the rock work in the front. I think it looks really nice in the masonry all around with the bricks. I think it looks really cool, and I just think that's okay. I also like at the top where you have the, you know, it's slanted. They don't need to do that, but those little details really make the set a lot better in my opinion. And I just think the exterior details are pretty good. Moving to the interior, there really isn't anything here, so I guess you could say that's a negative. I don't really care though, because this is a fucking battle pack and army builder set or whatever, so I'll just put as many of these fucking figs as I want in here, you know, going against the Uruk-hai. I think it would be really cool, and if you ever army built this set, you're a lucky fucker, because you got all these expensive ass figs now. You could fit them all in there, and it just makes a cool set. And honestly, I just really like this set a lot. Let's move on to the next set on the ranking.
In the darkest depths of Mordor.
Up next on the ranking is set 9476, the Orc Forge. This set's really cool, especially with the build. I love the build in this set, and there are some good minifigs as well. So let's get right into them. The first of the minifigs I'll talk about is the Uruk-hai. Now, what's different from this one from the previous set are his helmet and head print. They are different. The face is obviously like an angry expression, and the helmet has like a handprint on the head. Really cool detailing, honestly, and a lot better than the normal Uruk-hai. That's not an insult on the normal Uruk-hai. You know how I feel. I think they look really cool. But this is just a step up here. Pretty good fig. Up next is the Mordor Orc Dark Tan. At least that's what it's called on Brick Set. It's a pretty good fig. His face print and his hair print are the main standouts here. Of course, with those molded ears and that really creepy looking face print for Lego. It's really in detail. I like that a lot. His torso print's all right, and his legs, you know, it's whatever. He's a decent fig. We also have the Mordor Orc Bald. Nothing to say here. It's just the last one, but bald. The last of the minifigs is Lurtz, who's a very interesting figure in my opinion. Just look at him. He's just like an absurd character to get a figure of, you know? It's pretty crazy. I guess it's world building to the forge itself. It's really cool, and honestly, he just looks fucking awesome. He uses that old long-haired hairpiece, which you don't see that much anymore, to be honest. It's really weird why Lego doesn't use it. I know they have better alternatives, but I really would like to see this hairpiece used more. And I just think he looks pretty fucking goofy. Especially that face. I mean, what the fuck is going on here, guys? Now for my favorite part of the set, the actual Orc Forge itself. It just looks really fucking awesome. There's a lot of cool playability here, including this hook that moves down with the crow's nest, you know, to make the orcs. I don't know, it's just fucking awesome. It's a cool little play feature. I really like the fire pit. It's such a good world set design building. The rocks building up to the top. I don't know, guys. Is it just me, or is this just fucking awesome? I really like the assembly line thing they got going here, where they have the like the metal going into the cauldron, which I didn't even know that piece was around pre-2018. I mean, that's probably a different one from the new Harry Potter line, but you can tell me in comments if you know. But it just, a lot of this playability here is really awesome. I also like a lot of the wood detailing around it. Just looks really nice. And overall, I mean, it's just a great fucking build. There's not really anything I can say. I guess this shitty little build to the side doesn't really matter to me. But otherwise than that, I just really love this build. Not to mention the cool windmill build, because I love windmills. Or at least I think they look cool in Lego. I don't know, sue me.
In the darkest depths of Mordor.
Up next Next on the ranking is set 79006, the Council of Elrond. This is a pretty great set with some unique figs and an awesome build. So let's get right into it. Starting out with Gimli, who just looks really cool in my opinion. Honestly, this is just an awesome way to make the Gimli fig. The only way they could have done it better was to make him fat somehow, but I know that's basically impossible for LEGO, so I don't ask that much of them. Anyways, I think he just looks fantastic, especially his beard and helmet piece. I don't know if that's one mold, I think it is though. Since it is, it just looks so fucking good. It's one of the greatest LEGO molds ever in my opinion. I know he has a really anchored face under this too, so that looks really fucking cool, and he's just an awesome fig in my opinion. Moving on, we have Elrond Silver Crown, dark red clothing according to Brickset. He's a pretty cool fig in my opinion. I especially like the torso and leg detailing on this fig. It just looks really awesome, and his cool weird brown tannish, you know, old carpet color, you know, cape looks really awesome in my opinion. I think I like that part of him a lot. Also, his hairpiece is fantastic with all the braids in the middle and whatnot. I think it looks really cool, and of course the crown on his head, which is a part of the hairpiece, I think is just plain old awesome, and he has a good face print too. The next fig we have is Arwen, who is just a fantastic fig. My god, does this fig look good. The face print is amazing, especially this angry face. I think it just looks super awesome, and it's just a good expression to get in LEGO. I also think the torso and the leg detailing especially look really awesome. It's some of the best torso and leg printing you'll see in a while. Maybe it's just because of the, you know, the variety of colors I see here. I don't know, I just like it so much. And of course, the hairpiece is very similar to the last one with the curls and whatnot and the elf ears. I just think it's cool overall. Moving on to the Frodo, who is, you know, the same Frodo I've already talked about, except he has this crazy angry face print, which just looks fucking awesome in my opinion. The expression is so cartoony and absurd. It's so amazing. I love it so much. I want this fucking face so bad. I'm gonna buy it somehow. It's probably like $15 on Bricklink. I don't care. I'm gonna fucking buy it. It just looks so good. Moving on to the build, which I think is the true treasure of this set. This build is phenomenal in my opinion. I really love a lot about it. First off is this little structure, which just looks awesome. It reminds me so much of the scenes in Fellowship of the Ring when they go here. It just looks so awesome, especially with the white pillaring and the gold roof. I think that just adds a lot to it. Not to mention these little miniature, like, statuettes on the side. I think that's just a fucking awesome detail. And the pillars built in is also, they just look really nice. That's really cool. The structure is pretty nice. There's no interior, obviously. But when you move on to the center floor itself, I mean, wow, these chairs are built beautifully in my opinion. I love the way these are built with the detailing on the back, which I assume are stickers. You know, I don't even assume. I bet you they're stickers. You know, they just look super nice. It adds a huge detail to there. There's also a cool little tree in this area because, you know, I guess we're going green, guys. Woo, Middle Earth is green. I don't know if you knew that or not. There's also these cool little steps, which is like such a weird detail to add in my opinion, considering it's a platform that's supposed to be like way up high there, and I don't see why there's these little steps. I don't know. It's a nitpick. It's fucking great. Another thing is it's elevated, and you know how much I love these elevated platforms. 10 out of 10. Wouldn't recommend another set. Just kidding. It's a pretty great set, though. Let's move on to the next set on the ranking.
In the darkest depths of Mordor.
Up next on the ranking is set 9472, Attack on Weathertop. This set's pretty great with its nice variety of minifigs and its really unique build. So let's get right into the minifigs. The first fig to talk about in the set is Merry, and he's a pretty cool fig. Really wish we got Pippin in the set as well. Really would have made the whole dynamic, you know, really cool for this set, but it's alright that we didn't. He really thrives where a lot of these figs have with the face print, which is like this cool smirk, and it's pretty unique, honestly. Most LEGO faces are, you know, sad, happy, middle. Nothing's usually like in between those, but the fact that this one comes here like that, I really like that. I also think his torso print's really nice. I love the way that that gold color kind of plays off that dark green. Just looks really good. And I think his cape is a cool color. You know, that dark throw up green. I think it just looks good on Pippin. Pretty good fig. Moving on, we have the Aragorn, who I think is just one of my favorite figs in this entire theme. He just looks awesome. The head print must be the best part of him in my opinion. I love the way they got that shadow on the side to mix with his like nice goatee on the side. I know is that a goatee? Yeah, whatever. I just love the way that it mixes. I think it looks super nice. Also, they gave him some nice cheekbones for those people, you know? Maybe you like cheeks. I don't know. Don't talk to me like that. I also gotta compliment his little robe leg print match. I think it just looks super nice, and the way that they mesh looks really good from the connecting part from the legs to the torso itself. It looks really awesome. I'm glad they went with that dark brown, too. That's a good looking color on him. Also, his hair is like, I know that hairpiece was used before this, but it is the perfect hairpiece for Aragorn in my opinion. And if LEGO ever, please LEGO, remakes this theme, theme. They should just use his hairpiece again, to be honest. Honestly, if they reuse this fig, I wouldn't be mad. It's a great fig. The set also comes with a Ringwrath, who I think is a really cool fig, but it's not much. His torso's pretty cool. I like the printing on there. But really, it's just a plain black fig. That's really all it is. It does have a cool cape piece, though. I like the tears in the cape. That really signifies, you know, what these things have had to go through. And he's just all right. And I've already talked about Frodo, so the minifigs are all done. Let's move on to the build of the set. The build itself is very unique. You could almost call it like a dome type area. Of course, it's not a dome because it's not fully covered, but it kind of looks like that from the outside. It's really awesome. It's a 2-level build. The top level is really this area where, of course, they encounter the Ringwraith, and they all have to fight him, obviously. And, you know, Frodo becomes a bit of a fucking weirdo. Whatever. That's the top area. There's not much unique to it. It does have those little statuettes, which I liked in the previous set, so I'm glad those are there. And I really do like the arches that they have here. I don't know, it just adds a nice, subtle layer to this that wasn't added before without them. And there is a trapdoor play feature, which leads down to the bottom area, which I think really stands out. It's really cool that you have this fully enclosed set, which you don't think much of, but down at the bottom there's a couple of weapons, there's a rat, you know, just stuff like that. And of course you got like a little steam pot area, I don't know what to call it, over on that side. I don't know, it's just really nice. It reminds me of like a 2-story Hagrid's Hut type build, except without a roof. I don't know, that's just what it reminds me of. It's a really cool set and a great build. Let's move on to the next set on the ranking.
In the darkest depths of Mordor.
Up next on the ranking is set 9473, The Mines of Moria. This is a really awesome set with a fantastic build and some killer fucking minifigs. These minifigs are awesome, so why not get into them? Now, there are 2 Moria orcs, which I think are pretty unique minifigs. I really like the lime green color, olive green, whatever it's called, that really, like, surrounds it. Just its skin tone. I think that's an awesome color to go with. And the hairpiece is really nice. The torso's whatever, and the, you know, from there, it's whatever. But there's some pretty good figs, and I'm glad we get 2 of them. Up next is Pippin, who is an absolutely fantastic fig. I like him so much. He's probably my second favorite fig of the entire theme so far. He's just really well detailed. His face print is fantastic. I don't know what it is about this face print. Maybe it's because the look just is so weird, but it just makes me so happy. It's such a cool face print. His torso's also really nice. I'm a huge sucker for anything blue, especially in the darker tones of this almost navy type blue. Just looks really awesome, and I'm glad they added the scarf printing. Just adds more to the fig. And of course, just like Mary, he has the throw-up colored cape. Just an awesome fig. Then there's Gimli, who I have talked about already. Okay, guys, but here's the one thing. This one has eyelids, so it's different. No, it's still just a great fig. Next is Boromir, who still is a pretty good fig. The one thing that bothers me is his hair color and his beard color. He's not a ginger, guys. He has like light brown hair. Nowhere close to this tone. It's just really weird to me and pretty inaccurate. Otherwise than that, his torso and leg detailing is really cool and reminded me a lot of the interlooping in Aragorn, which, you know, makes sense. I get it, because they're kind of similar characters, you know. And a lot of his detailing's just great. I also like the cape. I like that brown color on him. I think it just matches right with the other colors. Of course, I'm sure it's meant to imitate the maroon that's on his sleeves, but if not, hey, it's fine. It still looks good. Overall, he's just a pretty good fig. Moving on, we have a near perfect fig, which is this Legolas. He is such an awesome fig. I just love the way he looks. His hairpiece and head combo are fucking awesome. It looks like they mesh together, especially with that ear tone. It's so similar, it's absurd. It's fucking great. I also like his torso and his legs. It reminds me a lot of elvish printing. It just looks really cool. They also use that olive green here, and it really works to the effect. I think it's a pretty good fig. The one thing I don't like is on the legs, mostly in this fig I notice it, there's a cutoff in the printing, and it looks really weird in my opinion. If there wasn't that, I'd rate it a lot higher, but it's just a pretty great fig. Next fig is actually a big fig, and it is the Cave Troll, who just looks really awesome. I'm really glad they made this in Lego. Of course, it was made nowadays. I think it would be, if it was more accurate to scale, it would probably be one of those like buildable things, kind of like Gwamp, but not in that build style. It would be a little more chunky. Yeah, probably more like Igor, which is a disgusting thing to mention. Anyways, I just really love this big fig. It looks awesome in my opinion. I love the way that this gray interacts with this almost metallic blue. I just think it looks really good. I also like his head printing. I think it just looks super nice. It's a little weird, to be honest, with all the facial lines. I get it. It's supposed to emulate like, oh, he's a troll, he's ugly, but I don't know. That part doesn't do it for me. His normal printing all around, like the face and the eyes, I think that looks really really good, though. I also like that there's spots all over. That's really cool. And the fact that they added these two little, I don't know, like little camel toes at the bottom. A pretty interesting area, but I think it's pretty good. There are also two skeletons, and that's a good thing because I like Lego skeletons. Moving on to the build, and man, did they do a lot right here. This is really what I would want from a mindset that isn't like a linear path. It looks awesome in my opinion. The gate door area is really cool. It's probably my favorite part of this build in general. I love the way that these doors are built with these flat wood tiles with the stickered wood pieces on the outside. I think it just looks super awesome. Not to mention the old inscriptions and writings on the top. It just looks really nice and gives a different atmosphere to the set. I also like the masonry on the side. Obviously, I've complimented other Lord of the Rings sets on the masonry, but over on the side and just all over this area, it looks super nice. Moving on over to this big mine path, whatever you'd like to call it, it just looks fucking awesome in my opinion. I love the treasure chest and the little, you know, pickaxe and mine and all that shit area. I think that looks fantastic, and I'm glad that they added that detail. Not to mention the arcs with the, I suppose, sticker parts on the outside, just adding a lot more detail and making it look fucking fantastic. Also, this pillar that falls down is just a really cool and awesome thing. I love the little edges, the triangular shapes all at the top and all around these pillars. I think it looks fantastic, and I'm glad they went with it. There's also just some cool detailing, such as this torch with the bone. You could say, I don't know, another orc lives there. Yeah, it's just pretty great in my opinion. I also like this little area with the play feature where, I guess Pippin finds this skeleton. I don't know, it's just really cool in my opinion. It's pretty weird. I don't know really what's going on, but I think it's awesome. I also love this, I'm assuming, grave where they have like one of these skeletons in that Gimli's on top of. It's just a really cool build to add in this set. And overall, this set's just really fantastic in my opinion. I 100% want this set. I'm probably never gonna own it because of how expensive it is, but it's just amazing. Let's move on to the next set on the ranking.
In the darkest depths of Mordor.
Up next on the ranking is set 79007, Battle at Blackgate. This is a phenomenal set, especially considering what it's based on and how much I love this area in the movie. I don't know, it's just so fucking good. Let's get into it. There are 5 minifigs in the set. First is Mordor Orc Bald, who I believe I've already talked about before, so no reason to delve on him here. Then it's Gandalf the White, who's an awesome fig in my opinion. Of course, he uses that same sort of facial expression as Gandalf the Grey, which I don't mind. And he has a really nice hairpiece. I love his hairpiece, and I believe it's molded with the beard, so that's just awesome in my opinion. I love the way it looks too. It just looks awesome, and I like that they got it all white. I wish the cape was white, but the fact that it's not doesn't really bother me. I think it still looks pretty good. There is minimal torso printing, but I think it works for this character considering, you know, the more white the better. Please don't take that out of context. Just overall, really great fig. Moving on, we have the Mouth of Sauron, who's an amazing figure. It's mainly because of this helmet piece, obviously. This is phenomenal that LEGO did this. It's just an awesome mold with all these spikes. It just looks awesome in my opinion. I also really like the head print. It works off the helmet piece very well, and it just looks creepy as fuck. And moving down, we have a really cool torso print. Obviously, there's not a lot of printing here, but I think it looks good, and I think it works really well with those metallic arms. He also just has some really awesome leg printing. Overall, he's just a fantastic, amazing fig. In fact, I think he's better than Aragorn in this fucking theme. He's just phenomenal. The Mordor Orc with helmet is just basically, I've talked about a lot of his parts before, so there's nothing really to talk about. Then there's the Aragorn in this set, who is phenomenal. Better than the one we saw before, and just fucking fantastic. That isn't downplaying the one we saw before, because that's a great one, but this one's just amazing. The best part of this Aragorn has to be the torso and leg print combo. It looks phenomenal. You got this tree pattern with these stars or sparkles, whatever you want to call them, on the front. That just looks fantastic, and they use the metallic, I guess those are the metallic gray arms, the gunmetal arms. I think they look really awesome here, and the leg print just meshes with the torso really nicely. Obviously, it does have the same problem as the Legolas I talked about, where there's a slight cutoff on the end, but you can't do too much about that. Overall, he's just a phenomenal figure. Moving on to the build of the set, the first thing I really want to compliment about this build is that it's an actual gate. You could see it. It would be, you know, a stationary castle type build. That's what you would expect, right? But no, they use a really intricate setup here with a bunch of tiles, and it opens like a gate, and that's really awesome in my opinion. I love that a lot. Not to mention the outside is just detailed perfectly compared to Blackgate. It just looks awesome. They do these 1x8s in between each stud very well, with the triangular pieces in between the other studs. It just looks right to me. It just looks so good. I also really like that on kind of the inside riverside area. There's like this ledge for, you know, the orcs to be on top of. It's just awesome in my opinion. They also have a barrel up there, which I think is pretty cool. I also like a lot of the detailing on the top. Of course, these bikes up here. I mean, it just adds on to the amount of greatness that this set has. There's also just a really awesome tower build in this set, and it's just amazing in my opinion. I love the way it's built. It uses these spiky pieces. I don't know what you call them. I remember them mostly from the 2012 Batwing, so I usually just call them, you know, the 2012 Batwing spikes. The way that it uses them in this set is phenomenal. It's one of the best uses of the pieces I've ever seen. As you can see at the top, it just makes this quadrifecta of, I hope that's a word, of, you know, just around of the top, and it makes it look awesome. And not to mention that there's just a lot of spikes, and it's just, it maintains the ethics of the gate itself, and it just looks awesome. Obviously, ethics wasn't the right word, so sue me, I guess. I mean, it's just amazing. I also like that because of this, it makes the set modular. You can attach more of these gates to it, and it could look symmetrical. I think that's absolutely awesome in my opinion. Just like this set in general. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next set on the ranking.
In the darkest depths of Mordor.
Up next on the ranking is set 79008, Pirate Ship Ambush. While I'm not the biggest fan of pirate ships, and especially pirate ship Lego sets, I think this one is outstanding. A lot of the minifigs in this set are repeats, including the Gimli, the Aragorn, the Mordor orcs, and I'd even say the Legolas, even though there's a slight detail that's a little different, guys. But otherwise than that, I'm not really gonna go over those. I'll start out with the Pirate of Umbar. With the pirate, the main amazing part about him has to be his face print. It's so unique and awesome. I love it. I love his secondary face print, especially the one where he's worried. I don't know, it just looks so cool. The first one, while it doesn't look like completely natural, at least the angry face to me, I still think it looks awesome. I love the beard a lot. I love how the gray and black interlace. I think that looks really awesome. And I also really like the hair print. It reminds me a lot of the Pirate of the Caribbean minifigs, so I will talk about that theme at a point in the future. But this fig just reminds me a lot of those. I also like his torso. I like some of the detailing on it, but overall, he's a pretty great fig. There are two Soldiers of the Dead in this set, and there really isn't much difference between the two. Otherwise, in the torso print, one of them seems to have this more armor on the outside, while the other one's wearing more like, I don't know, like the captain of the ship type uniform. I think they're pretty good. I really love their helmet piece in that green color. The fact that we get that's kind of astonishing to me, considering that Lego doesn't like to make a lot of things in unique colors, honestly, because, you know, it goes up, it's just more expensive to make usually. But the fact that they did it here, I think is really cool. I love the face prints on both of these, especially the mustache print. I think that looks awesome, and it's pretty funny in my opinion. I don't know why, it just looks cool. I do like the way that the colors work off of each other. In one of the soldiers, it's the maroon hands with the, you know, the lime green arms and the more olive-ish color on the torso, while on the other one it's the dark gray hands. I don't know, I just think it looks excellent. I also think the leg prints are pretty cool. I love the armor parts, and I just think they look awesome. Honestly, these are some pretty great figs. I do wish we got a little more of these in the set, but with an MSRP of $100, you can't ask too much of this. And the last figure of the set to talk about is the King of the Dead. Phenomenal figure. We get a crown, a king crown piece in this set, in this green color. Can we all just admire that for a minute? I mean, that's just an awesome thing to think about. It's a phenomenal part. I also love the way it just meshes with the uniform in general. I don't know, it just looks awesome. His head print's okay. Can't really say that much about it. It's just kind of average. I love his torso print. His torso print is fucking awesome. It reminds me a lot of these soldiers, except, you know, it has a lot more crossing. It just looks a lot more royal. I mean, it's awesome. He has the same leg. Actually, he does have, I think, slightly different legs. Actually, probably not from the other ones. They're great legs. What can I say? And I like the maroon cape a lot. I think that just bounces off the other colors really well. Overall, the minifig selection you get in this set is really awesome. Moving on to what has to be the best part of this set is this awesome pirate ship. Let's just talk about the scale of this thing. It's fucking massive. I mean, my God, look at how big it is. It has this big schlong in the front, which I know is meant to be like an anchor or whatever, but it's just, I don't know why it's in the front. It looks fucking weird. But it has these awesome sails. I mean, I guess they're made of a canvas or this canvas material, I bet. But they're huge. They're fucking ginormous, and the fact that they're on the ship, it just adds a whole lot to the scale. Not to mention this preset boat piece at the bottom, which just looks massive. I don't know if it's a preset boat piece. I think it might be a couple of bricks put together, but it just looks insanely big. There's also some amazing detail on the set, including the shields in the front. I thought that's a great use of those pieces, and they just look pretty awesome up there. I also really love just the way that the floor is built. There's a lot of cool parts on it, including some little flick fire cannons and some little, like, ammo areas, you know, storage areas. I think that's really awesome. I really love the captain's area, too. I don't know, it just looks phenomenal. Honestly, it's just an amazing fucking build. It's one of the best pirate ships that I think we've ever gotten in LEGO, and it's phenomenal. Let's move on to the number 1 on the ranking.
In the darkest depths of Mordor.
In first place is set 9474, the Battle of Helm's Deep. One of the best LEGO sets of all time, by far. It's phenomenal. The build and the minifigs are out of this world. So let's start out with the minifigs. Most of them are repeats. It's the Urukais, the Gimli, and the Aragorn. Of course, I think highly of all those minifigs, so there isn't much of a point for me to go over those again. The fig I'm going to talk about first is the Urukai Burkasur, who I think is a really cool fig. I love the metallic head, which is a little weird, but I get that they're trying to go for something here. I also like the torso print a lot. Of course, he has the 2 hand prints, and it's just a color that we really don't see the skin tone used in LEGO for these parts that much. Honestly, I think it's just a really cool fig. The one thing I don't like, I guess, is the little, what do you call it, the spandex area piece? I don't know what to say. I don't know if dark gray was the right color to go with there, maybe more of a metallic gray, but that's a very small nitpick for this fig, in my opinion. Next is the Haldir, who I think is just a pretty great fig. I love his torso and leg printing. They're fabulous. I love the way that it just interloops, and it's kind of almost this Willy Wonka vibe to it. I don't know, it's just a weird thing coming out of my head, but yeah, I mean, you guys might be able to kind of see it, especially with the top area. I think they just look really nice. I also love they use the gold arms. Good way to contrast. And the red cape also looks really cool. I'm sure that's actually the maroon color, but I still think it's really awesome. I do wish they use a different face print, because this is the same face print with Legolas. I think it's a little weird to have both the elves have the same face print. Maybe change it up a little bit, but I don't mind too much. It's just a slight nitpick for me. Pretty good fig. The next fig is King Theoden, who I truly think is the highlight fig of the set. Really, his helmet and headpieces are absolutely fantastic. The printing on his helmet piece is phenomenal. And the gold top mohawk, whatever you want to call it, I think that's an awesome part. I really just love the amount of patterns and distinct parts of the helmet there are. I just think it looks super nice. What I like about the head print is the expression he has, not to mention that they actually use the right color beard here, unlike with Boromir. I really like the way that it is here. It just looks really nice. His torso armor also looks amazing in my opinion. I just love the way it looks. I love the pattern in the middle, that little flower with all these just intricate buttons and straps and just all this stuff. It looks fantastic. And he has some pretty good legs too, you know, with the armor. Pretty awesome fig. Moving on to the build, which truly is something else, guys. This build is phenomenal and one of the best castle builds I think we've ever gotten in LEGO. I will start out with this little cannon in the front. Don't care for it. I feel like it's a repeat of one from an earlier set, and I just didn't like it there, and I don't like it here. One thing I really like about this set is the technique they use for the stairs leading up to the entrance. It's really awesome. They use a bunch of these triangular shaped just plates, and they curve them. I mean, it's a great technique in my opinion, and I don't see it used a lot anymore, and I wish it was, because it's awesome. I also really like just the exterior of the castle in general. Obviously, it has some great masonry. You don't expect a castle not to, but the way it's done here is just fantastic. They use a lot of the curves right, and they just do a lot of the stuff just great. I also love the way they incorporate the sand green. It just looks amazing here. I mean, nothing else to say about that. There's some cool rock work at the bottom too, elevating a lot of it. I mean, just awesome. I love it so much. The door build here is really cool too. While I feel like I've seen stuff similar to it, such as the Arkham Asylum doors, obviously though, those are rectangles. These are round. I just think they work here. They just look phenomenal. I also just love the playability of this set. You could have all your soldiers up top like they do in the Battle of Helm Deep in the Two Towers, and just have them ready to fight against the Urukai army. It's just really awesome in my opinion. There's also a cool little well area, and it's just the little things like that, the little attention to detail areas that just make this set fantastic. While there isn't a lot of interior in this set, where there is interior, it's really great. I love the little dining hall area. I don't know, it just reminds me of a lot of Hogwarts buildings. It's an awesome detail. It truly is phenomenal. Just like this set, and this theme in general. It was a great theme, and I was glad to go over it. Of course, I am sorry, guys. Did take me a little longer than usual to make this one. School, you know, I'm in my last month of school, finally, thank thank God I'm gonna be out of there. So it's just been a bit of a pain to get that done. But the fan support has been unreal. The channel has, I believe, quadrupled, or not even quadrupled. It's gone about 6 times bigger than it was before when it comes to the view counts. It's crazy what's happening with this channel right now. And I really do want to try and get more content out there for you guys, for you to watch. And I'll try my best. It's getting a little hard right now. I had a rough skid, but now that I'm going to be out of school, I will do a job. So that's going to be a bit of an issue. But otherwise than that, I think I'll be pretty good. I think you guys should expect some videos.